Hi manifestors, Meera Allen from Manifesting Destiny here, and if you're new to the channel, welcome, and if you're a regular, welcome back. It's so great to be here, and we are leading up to a full moon in Gemini. I'll give you the time straight away. London, 8th of December at 4:08 a.m. Sydney, Australia, 8th of December at 3:08 p.m. LA, 7th of December at 8:08 p.m. It's funny, every time I hear 808, I hear an 808. Anyway, music. New York, 7th of December at 11:08 p.m. So, Gemini, oh my gosh, communication and a full moon lead up. You know, I've been having, even last night, some really really in-depth communication with people very, very quickly. And Gemini has that ability. I even noticed today I'm speaking faster in this moon update. I'm not sort of chillax. I was setting it up. I was like, right, I'm just going to do this video and then go teach a yoga class. And I was just in a like feeling of like quickness. It's an air sign. It's the twins. It's also the inner duality in our inner dialogue. It's how we communicate. It's how one side of us speaks, how the other side of us listens, the other side of us speaks, the other side listens. It's weighing up different options as well, which Gemini does really, really quickly in that way of analysis. So notice if you've had a situation where you're analyzing things. For me, I was having a whole look at things like a strange thing about photos. I realized I don't have my childhood photos. I don't have many photos in my life, like actual photos. And I had this thing about like that communicating with how I communicate with photos. I have no photos up in my home, and I really just don't have photos. You know, my past is my past. I don't have photos. And that became a real thing for me, that I started actually looking at photos. And I was like, how do these images of all these snapshots in life, now that we communicate so quickly, it's just a picture, you know, or a quick video or a TikTok or, you know, or a Snapchat or a DM or whatever these ways we communicate now, it's all very Gemini, very, very fast. And the message today is going to be slow down. So I really love Rebecca Campbell. I've been really working with her stuff more lately. I don't know if you guys can see that. Rebecca Campbell, the Work Your Light cards. I just love this deck. She's been popping up. She's such a star seed. If anyone doesn't know who she is, or if you're in tune with the galactic stuff, Rebecca Campbell's the lady I sort of go to. If you're connected to the deeper moon stuff, then I always feel Yasmin Boland is my go-to for that. So I'm going to just call in high guides, high spirit, high connection to the divine, for the collective consciousness, for all of us inside the mind self, inside the heart self, in the feeling self, inside the physical body, and how we communicate to all those, but above all, calling in the highest spirit guides from that divine self. What is a clarity card for this time? So this card keeps popping up. This protection card comes up, and the other side of that was the break the chain card. So these two cards are coming up at the moment. Call back your power, cut the cords, soul retrieval. And it's interesting, I mean, I've been looking at images and photographs and looking at the past photos and current photos and where I've been capturing the moments of 2022. You know, first time in my life I've really gone, I want to look at photos and images, and where do I need to, well, for me personally, I was looking at where do I need to cut the cords and go through that soul retrieval and retrieve back. You know, in Indigenous culture, they didn't like to be photographed. Aboriginal people didn't like to be photographed because they felt it took a snapshot of their soul away. They were very present in the moment, and they don't like to have that essence of their soul taken away. And that was looked at as a very like, no, don't want to be photographed kind of a thing. And it's interesting because that is what happens sometimes. We snapshot a thing in the past and we may reminisce or dwell too long in the past. But I recently had a beautiful friend, Vanessa, shout out, explain to me how she loves her photos and she looks back at her photos because she really feels the deep connection to the essence of the memory and the capturing of that moment. So she's really good at photos, and I thank her so much because she's been making a point of really addressing this for me and making me see myself in photos. And I've realized I'm starting to open up to that. Oh yeah, it is nice to be captured in the moment and to reminisce. It doesn't have to be like, okay, it's past, it's gone. I'm present and future. I always seem to do that present future thing. And I've realized the people that have captured my photos over the years, and the meaning of that has actually now got a bit more depth to it. So I thank you for that. So that's that first part. The second part, ancestral patterns, healing and rewriting the future and breaking the chain. So what images, or what do we want to move toward? What vision, when people do vision boards in terms of manifesting, this is your Manifesting Destiny channel. What visions are you putting in? I do a lot of my visioning inside my subconscious, and I do a lot of it through imaginative states after my meditation practice. In the wee hours of the early morning, I got up this morning at 3:30 to do my meditation. This morning, I was just awake at 3:30. I thought, okay, I'll start my day at 3:30, and went into my deeper meditation practice. Then after I meditated, I went into the space of my imagination, and I let the universal energy expansion of what I vision and see my life, and how I want to vision the next stages of 2023, how I want it to really look like. So with Gemini, there's two things as well, of course, because it's duality. It's our inner dialogue, what we inwardly speak, say, write. What are the words that write the direction of our lives? But it's also what we communicate inside our inner dialogue between our mind and heart, between our soul and mind, between our soul and body, between what our body's communicating to us, to our heart, what our body is communicating to the mind, what the mind is communicating and governing the body, what our spirit overall is divinely guiding the whole way and telling us to make these leaps of faith and trust and go forward. And I always talk about that Ishvara Pranidhana. Go forward in that joyful surrender to the divine grace. Ishvara of the joyful, Pranidhana, the energetic prana, the life force, the divine dana, the way it's bestowed upon you and given to you. Whether it's in your inward light, your meditation, your inward sound, your inward words, your dialogue, or the external words. And that's the other part that we put in the external world. What do we write into the world? What do we journal write? What do we write in our manifestations? What do we actually write and communicate in our text messages, in our emails, in our spoken word, in our text messages, our voice tags? I'm very much a voice tagging kind of person. It's just easier for me so people get the essence of what I'm feeling like. And that is just an easier way for me to communicate, because auditory communication is probably my strongest communication, which I've really been discovering as I'm putting together a vocal confidence course. And every weekend I've been working really hard at putting this online course together, which will be ready for you guys in January. And it's really interesting. Some people are vocal, some people are through visual images is how they communicate, some people are through the spoken word, some people are through writing. On this full moon, I'm spending my time with an amazing writer, and I feel really grateful that I've done that with clear intention from my mind, from my soul, from my heart. And it's clearly landed on a full moon in Gemini that I'll get to communicate a lot of things with this amazing writer. So, because I'm not a great written form of communication, it's not my forte. So I want to put forward a question for you guys today. Well, not just today, but to the lead up to this full moon. What is your favorite way of communicating? For me, it's being in person. I'm a very in-person person. I sit down with people, I have chai, I sit down, I go for a swim, or I go and do something physically with people. I'm very in-person. It's a great way I communicate. I'm very one-on-one in that way. That's why YouTube works for me, because you guys can feel the real essence of who I am, the depth of who I am. You're sitting in my home, and I've got my little baby Christmas tree up, and you get an essence of who I am really deeply. And for me, that's really important, face-to-face communication. But now I'm learning to go, well, maybe it's also through photographs and looking back at photographs, or, I'm a vocal person. I always leave people voice tag messages. It's just a thing that I do. And so what is your favorite form of communication? Is it writing a letter? Is it writing a text message? Is it email? What's your favorite form of communicating? So really sit with yourself and find out what your favorite communication is for yourself. I know once I actually rang my own phone and I knew it would automatically go to voicemail because I was ringing it from myself from my phone. And I left myself a voicemail, and I've kept it in my saved voicemails. And it actually says, "Hey Meera, what is the greatest version of yourself that you can show the world today? Who can you be in your greatest version of yourself?" And I left that as a voicemail. I still have it in my saved voicemails. And every now and then when I go listen to my actual voicemails, that's my last voicemail message. It says, "Hey Meera, what's the greatest version of yourself?" And it's in my own voice coming back to me. And it's a nice kind of reminder. And I hear my own voice, auditory, coming back to myself, asking myself that question. So I'd like to ask you guys that question. What is the best way that you communicate where you do feel that you've got that, where's that card? That beautiful protection. Oh, it's right here. You feel protected in that circle. Got this card recently again. But you also feel like you have the freedom to break the chains of the past and communicate in your inner dialogue in a different way, and communicate and express in your external dialogue in a different way. I was at an event last night, and people that I didn't know, wanted to chat to me and wanted to actually be in photos with me, came up and were chatting to me. And I was like, wow, it was just a real awakening for me yesterday. And I do feel this Gemini full moon has been, as it's been growing toward it, has been really pulling me that way. Because I've been asking myself that, how can I express, communicate, and be seen in a better way, and break the old chains of what I've seen things as the past, and how do I grow from that? And I've really been asking myself that question. And then people just showed up and actually demonstrated the answer. And I was kind of like, whoa, I wasn't even ready for it. And it was really, really there. So it was such an enjoyable evening for me, because normally I would pull myself away a little bit. So it was interesting for someone as confident and as vocally expressive as I am. I do realize I get this little anxiety around photos, and it's always kind of sat there. Didn't know that it was such a thing, so comfortable on a video, so comfortable in a one-on-one chat conversation, and deep conversation. But it was interesting. The photo thing was a funny way for me to communicate. I was like, how do I be? And I kind of freeze sometimes and just want to lean in and hug people, and I want them to get the feeling of it rather than just the photo. But then I realized from when Vanessa told me, it's the essence of capturing that moment. And I grew a lot from that experience. So I hope your way of communicating is going to be very, very, very amplified. And notice your inner dialogue, and notice the ways and the forms of communication that do give you anxiety, that make you go, oh, I don't know if I want to do that. Oh, I don't know if I want to write that, or I don't know if I want to text that, or I don't know if I want to be in that photo. I don't know if I want to be in that video. Or, notice the way there's so many forms of communication that is going on in the world right now. This full moon in Gemini can really highlight what it is you want to communicate. And most importantly, like I was woken up at 3:30 this morning, how do you communicate with your divine? How do you communicate with that inner part of you, that grace that is always communicating with us? And we get to stop and listen to its guidance that comes in experiences, that comes in words, it comes in signs, it comes in lyrics of songs, and it's communicating with us through the birds, through the animals. It communicates with us all the time. My name is Meera Allen. I hope you enjoyed this little moon video. I've got to go teach yoga now, and please subscribe, please share, and I'd love to hear your comments. I'm really curious about, what anxieties do you guys have around your communication? Happy full moon in Gemini. Namaste.